When I married him, I told myself it was a practical decision. I said love was overrated. I said safety mattered more than feelings. And when people asked if I was happy, I smiled and said,
A single choice can change your life forever. Today, I'm sharing how betrayal forced me to choose myself when no one else would. Before the first chapter unfolds, please subscribe and hit like to help us reach others who might need to hear this. I'd love to know where you're watching from tonight. Leave your city name in the comments so I can welcome you personally. And now, the story begins.
Of course. But the truth was, I never really looked at the man I married. Not deeply, not honestly. I looked at his house. I looked at his car parked neatly in the driveway. I looked at the comfort he promised, the quiet life, the future without fear. And I ignored the silence in his eyes. I remember the day it finally broke me. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. There were no harsh words or slammed doors, just a simple sentence spoken over dinner. "You got what you wanted," he said softly, "and now I see what I was to you." I sat there, holding my spoon, unable to swallow. The room felt smaller, the walls felt closer, and for the first time, I realized I had married a man without knowing his heart. Sometimes life does not punish us with chaos. Sometimes it punishes us with clarity. And that night, clarity arrived quietly.
My name is Jessica Morgan, and I'm 36 years old. I live in a small house with a white picket fence, a tiny garden in front, and a living room where sunlight pours in every morning. From the outside, my life looks perfect. Stable job, nice home, and a marriage that seems safe. But I'm here to tell you something no one can see from the outside. The truth about my marriage. The truth about why I married a man I didn't fully love. And the truth about how his mask completely changed my life. I grew up watching my mom work 3 jobs just to pay the bills, and my dad left when I was young. Money was always a struggle, security was everything, and I promised myself I would never feel that fear again. So when I met Mark, everything seemed like the dream I had been waiting for. He had a great job, a beautiful home, and a calm, confident presence that made me feel safe. I married him thinking it was the smart choice, the practical choice, the safe choice. But here's the thing most people don't tell you. Safety and comfort can hide truths that will eventually knock the wind out of you. And the moment I saw who Mark really was, it changed everything. The distance did not arrive all at once. It came slowly, like dust settling on furniture you stop using. At first, I did not notice it. I thought we were just adjusting to married life. Daniel still woke up early every morning. He still kissed my forehead before leaving for work, but the kiss became lighter, almost careful, like he did not want to disturb me, or maybe like he did not want to ask for anything in return. I stayed in bed longer after he left. I enjoyed the silence. I told myself I deserved rest after years of worry. I did not think about how lonely that silence felt for him. We stopped eating breakfast together. Daniel said he did not want to wake me. I did not insist. At night, we ate dinner at the same table, but our minds were elsewhere. He would ask simple questions. How was your day? Did you go out? I answered politely, short sentences, nothing that invited more conversation. He listened anyway, always listening. Sometimes I caught him looking at me, like he wanted to say something important, but when I met his eyes, he smiled and looked away. That smile slowly began to hurt. Daniel had a habit of fixing things: loose door handles, flickering lights, small cracks in the wall. One evening, the kitchen tap would not stop dripping. The sound was constant, annoying. I complained about it. "I'll fix it tonight," he said calmly. He worked on it for nearly an hour. When he finished, he washed his hands and looked at me, waiting. "It's done.
he said. Thank you, I replied, already scrolling on my phone. I did not see the way his shoulders dropped, but I felt the room grow colder. The first real argument we ever had was not loud. It was quiet and confusing. Daniel came home later than usual one night. His shirt was wrinkled. His eyes looked tired in a way I had never seen before. I made dinner, I said. It's cold now. I'm sorry, he replied. Work was heavy. Something inside me snapped. Not anger, impatience. You always say that, I said. You work too much. He looked surprised, then sad. I work so we can have this life, he said gently. I didn't ask you to, I replied. The words fell between us like broken glass. He nodded slowly. I know, he said. That was all. He did not eat dinner that night. After that, something shifted. Daniel stopped explaining himself. He stopped trying to please me. Not out of anger, out of exhaustion. He still paid attention, but it felt like he was stepping back, protecting something fragile inside himself. I noticed he no longer touched my hand when we sat together. He no longer leaned toward me when we watched television. The space between us became normal, and I let it. My friends admired my life. They said I was lucky. You married well, one of them said during lunch. He takes care of you. I smiled. I agreed. I did not talk about the quiet or the emptiness, because I thought emptiness was peaceful. One afternoon, I found Daniel sitting alone in the living room. The lights were off. He was holding an old photo album. What's that? I asked. He hesitated. Just memories, he said. I did not sit beside him. I did not ask more. Later that night, I wondered why he never shared his past with me. Then I realized I had never shown interest. Daniel started spending more time outside, long walks, late drives, not hiding, just existing away from me. I felt relieved at first, then uneasy. Something was changing, and I could feel it slipping beyond my control. One rainy evening, the power went out. The house was dark and quiet. Daniel lit a candle and placed it on the table. The soft light made his face look older, more tired. He sat across from me. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Yes," I replied. "Why did you marry me?" The question caught me off guard. My heart raced. "For stability," I said honestly. "For a good life." He nodded slowly. "And love?" he asked. I hesitated. "I thought it would come." The candle flickered. "And did it?" he asked. I did not answer. That silence was louder than any argument. After that night, Daniel changed. He became quieter, kinder but distant, like someone preparing to leave a place they once loved. He stopped asking questions, stopped trying for affection. He focused on himself, and I mistook his silence for acceptance. Weeks passed. One morning, I noticed his wardrobe was more organized, less clutter. I laughed it off, but something inside me felt tight. Daniel started writing letters. I did not know who they were for. He kept them in a drawer in his study. One day, the drawer was left slightly open. I saw envelopes. My name was not on them. I closed the drawer quietly. Fear brushed against my comfort. One night, I dreamed he left without saying goodbye. I woke up shaking. Daniel was sleeping peacefully beside me. For the first time in months, I reached for his hand. He did not pull away, but he did not hold me back either. That hurt more than rejection. The tension grew in small, ordinary moments. When he stopped waiting for me to eat together, when he no longer corrected me gently, when he no longer tried to make me laugh. I realized then that love does not disappear with noise. It disappears with neglect. One afternoon, Daniel came home early. "I took some time off," he said. "That's nice," I replied. He nodded. "I thought we could talk." I felt defensive immediately. "About what?" "About us." I sighed. "There's nothing wrong," I said. He looked at me with calm sadness. "That's the problem," he said softly. I had no answer. That evening, he cooked my favorite meal, the one I had mentioned once, early in our marriage. I was surprised. "You remembered," I said. "I remember everything about you," he replied. Something in his voice broke me slightly. After dinner, he cleared the table slowly. "He needs you to know something," he said. My chest tightened. "But not tonight," he added. "Another day." I slept badly that night. The days after felt heavy, like waiting for a storm that refuses to arrive. Daniel became gentle in a way that felt final, like someone preparing to leave a place they once loved. I still did not understand. Then one evening, I found one of his letters. It had fallen behind the desk. I picked it up without thinking. My hands shook as I read. Not accusations, not anger, just pain. He wrote about feeling invisible, about loving someone who never looked back, about realizing he had been chosen for safety, not for himself. Every word felt like a mirror. I put the letter back quickly. My heart was racing. For the first time, I felt afraid of losing him. That night, I watched Daniel sleep. I noticed the lines on his face, the way his brow tensed even in rest. I realized something painful. I had never tried to know him. I had only tried to keep my life comfortable. The next morning, Daniel packed a small bag. "Just a few days," he said. "For work?" I asked. "For space," he replied. I nodded, pretending to understand. But when the door closed behind him, the house felt empty in a way I could not ignore. That's when the truth began to rise. Not loudly, not suddenly, but steadily. Comfort without connection is just a beautiful cage, and I had built it myself.
The house felt different without Daniel. Not quieter, just hollow. Every sound echoed longer than it should. The clock ticking on the wall felt louder. Even my own footsteps surprised me. I told myself he would be back in a few days, that this was normal, that people needed space sometimes. But deep inside, a slow fear was growing. The first night alone, I did not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage. Not the big events, the small ones. The times he waited for me to finish speaking, the way he brought me tea without asking, the patience in his eyes when I brushed him off. I wondered when he had started feeling lonely beside me. The next morning, I wandered into his study. I had never spent much time there. It always felt like his space, not mine. The desk was neat, too neat. I opened the drawer again. This time, I did not stop myself. There were many letters, dated over months. I sat down and began to read. The first letter was written early in our marriage. He wrote about hope, about believing love would grow quietly, like a plant if watered gently. "I don't need grand affection," he wrote, "just small signs that I matter." My throat tightened. Another letter, written months later, sounded different. "I am learning how to be quiet," he wrote, "not because I want to be, but because noise seems to make her uncomfortable." I felt my chest ache. As the letters continued, the tone changed slowly. Not bitterness, acceptance. "I think she is kind," he wrote, "but kindness without love feels like charity." I covered my mouth. The final letter was dated just days before he left. "I finally understand," it said. "I was chosen for safety, not for who I am, and that truth hurts, but it also frees me." Tears blurred my vision. I sat there for a long time, long enough for the sun to move across the room. For the first time, I saw Daniel clearly, not as a provider, not as a solution, as a man who loved deeply and quietly, and I had taken that love without offering my own. I remembered the first time he told me about his childhood. It was brief.
His parents had been distant. He learned early not to ask for much. I smiled politely and changed the subject. Now that memory burned. That afternoon, I received a message. "I'm okay," Daniel wrote. "I hope you are too." That was all. No anger, no blame, just distance wrapped in kindness. I wanted to reply with something meaningful, but words felt heavy. "I miss you" felt selfish. "I'm sorry" felt too small. I wrote nothing. That evening, I went through old photos, our wedding, our trips. In every picture, Daniel leaned toward me, and I leaned slightly away. I had never noticed before. A question kept repeating in my mind. Did I ever love him? The answer was painful. I did not know how to love someone without needing them. On the third day, I visited my mother. She looked at me carefully. "You look tired," she said. I told her everything. She listened quietly. When I finished, she said something that stayed with me. "Security keeps you alive," she said, "but love makes you human." I nodded, tears falling. That night I dreamed of Daniel again. This time he was smiling sadly, walking away. I woke up gasping. The next morning I decided to do something I had never done. I waited. I waited for him to come home, not to demand answers, not to defend myself, just to listen. Daniel returned on the fourth evening. He looked calmer, lighter. "Hi," he said. "Hi," I replied. We stood there, unsure. He placed his bag down. "I think we should talk," he said. I nodded. We sat at the dining table, the same table where everything had slowly broken. "I read your letters," I said softly. He did not look surprised. "I thought you might," he replied. "I'm sorry," I said, "for everything." He exhaled slowly. "I know, but knowing doesn't change how it felt." I nodded. "I married you for comfort. I was afraid of struggle. I didn't realize I was afraid of love, too." Daniel listened quietly. "I didn't want to be a transaction," he said. "I wanted to be chosen." His words cut gently but deeply. I reached for his hand. This time he pulled away gently. "Not yet," he said. That hurt, but I understood. "I wore a mask too," he continued. "I pretended I was fine, that I didn't need more." He looked at me then. "I thought if I was patient enough, you'd see me." My chest ached. "I see you now," I whispered. He smiled sadly. "I don't know if that's enough anymore." We talked for hours, about fear, about expectations, about loneliness. No shouting, no blaming, just truth. Daniel stood up finally. "He needs time," he said. "I understand," I replied. He paused at the door. "I hope you find what you're looking for," he said. The door closed gently behind him. That night I broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. I cried for the man I ignored, for the life I misunderstood, for the love I had never learned to give. The days after were heavy with reflection. I started noticing my own emptiness, how I avoided closeness, how I measured people by usefulness. It was not cruelty, it was survival learned too early. I began therapy. I learned how fear shapes choices, how safety can become a prison. One afternoon, Daniel called. "I've been thinking," he said. "So have I replied. "I don't know what the future holds," he said, "but I needed you to know the truth. I wasn't hiding, I was protecting myself." "I know," I said. We agreed to meet, not as husband and wife, but as two people willing to be honest. Sitting across from him at a cafe, I felt different. No expectations, no safety net, just truth. "I don't know if I can love the way you deserve," I said. "That honesty matters," he replied. We talked about separation, about possibility. Nothing was decided, but something had changed. The mask was gone. That night, I realized something important. Money had given me comfort, but love demanded courage, and courage was something I had never practiced.
The days after that conversation felt slow and delicate, like walking on thin ice. Nothing was broken loudly anymore, but nothing was fixed either. Daniel and I stayed apart, but we spoke sometimes. Short messages, occasional calls. There was no pressure in his voice now, no quiet begging, just honesty. And that honesty forced me to sit with myself in a way I never had before. I began noticing things about myself that I had avoided for years. How I stayed calm by staying distant. How I confused control with peace. How I thought needing someone was weakness. In therapy, I learned that fear can dress itself as wisdom, that survival habits can look like personality. I was not cold by nature. I was guarded, and Daniel had loved me without asking me to put my guard down, until it became too heavy for him to carry alone. One afternoon, I received a letter from him, a real one, handwritten. "I'm not writing to ask you for anything," it began. "I just want to close this chapter honestly." I read it slowly. He wrote about gratitude, about the good moments we shared, about how loving me taught him something important. That love should not be earned by silence, he wrote. It should be met halfway. I cried again, but this time the tears felt cleaner. We met one final time at our house, the place that had once felt like safety. Now it felt like memory. We walked through each room quietly. "This is where you used to read," he said, smiling softly. "And this is where you fixed everything," I replied. We both laughed gently. In the kitchen, he stopped. "I don't regret loving you," he said. "I just regret losing myself while doing it." I nodded. "I regret not seeing you sooner," I said. We sat at the table one last time. There was no bitterness, no blame, just two people acknowledging what could not be forced. "I think we should let each other go," he said. My chest tightened. "I think that's the kindest choice," I replied. When he left that day, it felt different from before, not empty, complete. The weeks that followed were quiet, but not lonely. For the first time, I was truly alone with myself, and I did not run from it. I learned to sit with discomfort, to listen to my own feelings without judging them. I learned that comfort without connection is fragile, and connection without honesty is impossible. People asked what happened between us. I said, we told each other the truth. They nodded, not fully understanding, but I did. Months later, I ran into Daniel by chance at a bookstore. He looked different, lighter. We smiled. "How are you?" he asked. "Learning," I replied. He nodded. "So am I." We talked briefly, warmly. Then we hugged, a real hug. No expectation, no regret, just gratitude. As I walked home, I realized something important. I did not marry him for money. I married him because I was afraid of instability, afraid of disappointment, afraid of loving someone and losing them. And in trying to avoid pain, I caused it instead. Today, my life is simpler, not richer, not grander, but fuller. I choose relationships more carefully now, not based on what they give me, but on how they allow me to give back. I learned that love is not loud, but it is brave. It asks you to be seen and to see others fully. Sometimes, late at night, I think of Daniel, not with regret, but with respect. He showed me the truth behind my own mask, and that truth changed my life forever.
The house feels different now. Empty in the way that is not sad, but reflective. I keep the photos, the memories, and even the letters. They remind me of something I almost lost: myself. I've learned that love is not about who provides the most comfort. It is not about the house, the money, or the quiet stability. It is about being seen, truly seen, and allowing someone else to be seen in return. Sometimes I sit quietly in the kitchen, drinking tea, watching the steam curl into the air, and I think about Daniel. I do not think about regret, I think about gratitude. For him, for the lessons he unknowingly gave me, for the love he offered without asking for the same in return. I wonder how many people go through life blind to the truth of the hearts beside them. How many choose security over connection, thinking it will protect them from pain, only to discover that pain comes in a quieter form, the absence of love that was there all along. I have tried to live differently since then, to see people, to listen to them, to offer kindness that comes from the heart, not obligation, to give freely without expecting a return. I learned to notice small gestures of love because they are often the most powerful. The way someone smiles at you when you're sad, the way a hand rests gently on yours without being asked, the way silence is shared, not imposed. And I've learned to forgive. I forgive myself for marrying the wrong reasons. I forgive the fear that guided my choices. I forgive him for leaving when he needed to protect his heart. Forgiveness is quiet. It does not erase the past. It does not change the mistakes we made, but it gives us a chance to move forward without carrying the weight of bitterness. Sometimes I think people confuse comfort with happiness. They believe stability is enough, but stability without love is just a house with walls, empty rooms, a life that feels safe but hollow. Love is messy. Love is patient. Love is brave. And love demands that we show up fully, even when it is frightening. I've been asked if I would choose differently knowing everything I know now. I would. I would choose to be brave, to see him, to see myself, to ask for what I needed, and to give love fully, not cautiously. To anyone listening to this story, do not be afraid to feel. Do not settle for what feels safe if it leaves your heart empty. Notice the quiet love around you. Cherish it. Respond to it. And if you ever lose it, let it teach you. Let it guide you to see yourself more clearly, and let it remind you that love is worth the courage it asks for. My life is quieter now. Not perfect, not the way I imagined, but honest. And that honesty is worth more than any comfort I ever sought. And maybe that is the lesson I carry with me every day. Love fully. See people. Do not let fear decide for you. And remember, the heart knows what the house, the money, or the comfort cannot show.